Welcome to episode 1 of the Giving Grace podcast. This podcast is all about one, giving grace, extending our faith, our love, even to those who are undeserving. This podcast is a judge free zone, right? We're going to listen to stories, we're going to hear stories, we're going to give the best advice that we can. Right? Because it's all about connecting as humans, but also connecting on a spiritual level. It's time that we actually feel like we're humans and do what humans do and help one another. It's all about building community. I'm usually going to do 3 or 4 stories per episode, but this episode is a pilot one, so I'm only doing one story. Let's get to it. Story number 1. My girlfriend slapped me yesterday. Both 18, in the middle of a heated argument, just straight across my face like a bee slap. She usually pushes or shoves, but I never expected her to hit me. I'm normally the mediator, and she's the fighter. But those same fiery ways is why I love her. We've been together 4 years, living together for 1. Been up since it happened, just trying to comprehend why. Any other man going through this? Is this normal? What should I do? Any advice is welcome here. So we did get a couple updates, and here are the updates. Number 1, the shoving and pushing were never frequent, but it did happen a lot to the point I can say occasionally depending on the intensity of the argument. The topic of this argument was about possibly a long distance relationship due to me wanting to study abroad. Number 2, I grew up in a household with an alcoholic single father who 3 older sons chose to follow suit. Pushing, shoving, even fighting is what I've been conditioned to all the way up to the age of 16, where protective services were involved and I was removed from home. My father never taught us about abuse, not even boundaries, never taught us about anything actually. The only thing I ever picked up from my father was that it was okay to hit when angry. While I never picked up any of those traits, that was my world. I did not grow up around women, and she's my first serious relationship. 3, I have no intentions of hitting her back. I love her, but I do realize it is necessary to do what's best for me and that this is not normal, so I will be leaving her. She will never get the opportunity to put hands on me again. I'm not a deluded teenager who ignores obvious danger signs, but I like to think of myself as previously sheltered and unsure. Wow, this is heavy. This is really, really heavy. And with these updates, you did do the right thing. You left. Usually when people are involved in violence, domestic violence, they tend to stay because due to fear and due to, I love this person. I see the good in this person. And I believe this person can change if we work on them changing. One of my boundaries that I am firm on is that when it comes to any type of violence, domestic violence, I'm out the door. No matter how much I love the person, to me, once you hit me, that's one of the biggest signs of disrespect. You just don't respect me nor this relationship, right? But we also got to think about your childhood. It has to be very heartbreaking to grow up in that type of abusive environment where you have a single father who's an alcoholic and you have 3 older brothers who follow suit. You grew up in this brokenness. You grew up in this home that was absence of love. There was no safety for you, no safe net. You were your only safe net, right? And to get into a relationship, your first serious relationship, and the same thing is happening over again. I never been in this type of situation, but like I said, this is very heartbreaking. This is a very sad way to start off your love life, right? I just got away from my father, abusive father, and brothers. Now I'm in a relationship that should be a safe haven, a place to where I can escape from the world and this be my peace. Only for this relationship to be the exact same thing that I grew up in. I know what I'm going to say is going to shock some people. I just know it is. But this is where you have to extend grace. Even if this person or your family don't deserve it, you have to forgive. You have to realize that, hey, they're humans just like I am. We have our flaws. We have the things that make us who we are. We're all going through something very traumatic in life. This is where empathy starts to come into play where, all right, put yourself in their shoes and try to figure out why they act the way that they act. But what I always say is that Just because you extend grace doesn't mean that they get to escape accountability. Just because you forgave them doesn't mean you have to forget. Setting boundaries is absolutely necessary in any type of relationship, whether it's family, friends, romantic, whatever the case may be. Setting boundaries is pretty crucial, right? And for those who struggle with setting boundaries, I was one of them because I was not secure within myself. And so when I thought about setting boundaries, I always had this fear that they're going to leave me. So it's almost as if you're giving them just an open door to just run over you, right? Just to control you. Once you set boundaries, you're letting this person know that, hey, one, I'm secure in myself. I love myself. And this is what I'm going to tolerate, and this is what I'm not going to tolerate. And if they can't accept your boundaries, that's when you know you need to leave, right? But let's get back to what really happened here, right? Being hit by someone you love, it cracks your heart. Like you can just feel your heart cracking. This is, I'm not going to say the ultimate betrayal, but this is up there with betrayal because you just hit me. You just physically put your hands on me because you were angry. The light that I once saw you in, I no longer see you in that light. And that's very devastating to realize that. And we have three type of people in this world, right? One, people who can control their anger and release it in an appropriate way, right? Two, we have people who can control their anger and internalize it, even though that might not be a good thing sometimes. And three, we have people who can't control their anger and releases it as soon as they feel it. No matter what the consequences are, they black out. Those are the type of people you should stay away from because if they can't control their anger, there's no telling what they can do, no matter what. And the only way that I believe that you can turn the situation around is one, you already left. That's one right there, right? But two, you have to find that love within yourself. You're 18. Both of you are 18. Y'all live with each other. Y'all were together pretty much since middle school, right? That's a long time. And I guarantee you, throughout those years in that relationship, you lost yourself. She lost herself. Once you lose your identity in a relationship, you lose not only yourself, you lose your dreams, you lose your relationship with God if you believe in God, you lose your relationship to love, you lose pretty much everything. That person is now like the sun. You're revolving your entire life around this person. So no matter what they do, they're going to affect your mood. That's a slippery slope to be in. And I'm with you on this one. I'm with you. You made the right decision to leave. Because if you didn't leave, you could possibly end up in jail, prison, or you can eventually got to the point where you got fed up and you hit her back. And now the same way that you no longer see her in this light, you no longer see yourself in that light. And now you're repeating the same pattern that you grew up in. I always say, however you grew up in, whatever environment you grew up in, that is how you're going to view life as you grow to teenagehood, to adulthood, unless you fix that. The same love that you have for her is the same love you should have for yourself, even more. That's something I had to work on to myself, is that we put people high on this pedestal to the point where we no longer see ourselves. Listen, I get it. Deep down, I know you believe that she's a good person. Through all her flaws, through all her wrongdoings, the way that she grew up, I know she's a good person. That's the thought that you're having. And she might be. But you're not getting that person, and you deserve to get that person. You honestly do. We tolerate things that we know we shouldn't tolerate. because we love people, right? We are extending that grace. This is what this podcast is all about. It's about extending that grace. Even Jesus came down here to preach about forgiveness, extending that grace. Love your enemy as you will love your neighbor. And it's hard to apply those principles. It really is. I'm not going to say it's easy to do. No, it's very hard to do. How can you forgive someone who done you so wrong? How can you give them grace that I recognize you're a human? I recognize you are flawed. But just because you gave them grace doesn't mean you have to accept their flaws. You don't. I get it. You're 18. You're young. You're very young. You're not even 20 yet. You're not old enough to drink. There's no reason to go through this at this age or at any age. But I remember when I was 18, I thought I was ready for relationships. I was a lover boy, all that type of stuff. I had my first relationship. It was toxic throughout. My first real relationship, it was toxic throughout all high school. She drained me. I went into a deep depression. I didn't get out till almost 10 years later out that depression, right? Even though we broke up. That was a very dark period. And I know that you've been through a lot and you feel like you lived a lot of lives, but you don't have enough life experience. I never understood that. When people say you just don't have enough life experience to handle this problem, 9 times out of 10, they're right. And for her to hit you, right, over something as, hey, I'm trying to better myself. I'm trying to gain life experience in hopes that we can get to a better place, whether it's financially, spiritually, romantically. I am doing this not only for myself, but for us. And for her to do that it's very telling. She wants that control, right? It's all about control with someone like this. I'm not trying to be judgmental because I feel for her. We heard how you grew up. The way she grew up, we haven't heard that yet. And that's something that she needs to work on. You experience things that you are meant to experience because they help grow your character. Whether you believe you should experience those things or not, you honestly have to. And I hate that it had to be this that you experience because this is just a repeating cycle of your childhood. But like I said, you left. I want you to forgive her. You don't even have to tell her that you forgive her. You can just keep that with yourself. If you believe in God, you it's between you and God right there. You forgive her. And it's okay to be angry. It's okay not to want to forgive her. And I want you to go through these emotions. Just ride the emotions. And you're going to get to a point where you're going to be tired of dealing with these emotions. And you're just going to get there and you're going to be like, you know what? I'm tired of feeling like this. I forgive her. That necessarily mean I don't have to forget what she did to me because this is a lesson learned, but I forgive. I realize that she's human. I realize that she's flawed. Nobody's perfect. I'm not perfect. You're not perfect. You will want someone to give you that same grace. But like I said, just because you extend grace doesn't mean that they get to escape accountability. Just because you give them forgiveness doesn't mean you have to forget what they did to you. You don't have to forget. If you choose to forget, that's even more Christ-like. And that is something we're all striving to do, striving to become, something I'm working on. And it's hard to, forgive and forget because these memories have triggers, right? They have triggers. I'm pretty sure if you watch movies, TV shows, or you're just people watching and you're hearing stories and it's triggering you and it's instantly coming back to you like, oh, I dealt with this before. If you have the power to forgive and forget, please do so. And that goes the same with your family. They deserve that grace, but make sure they take accountability for it. If they don't take accountability for it, this is what you do. I forgive you. I understand that you're humans. I understand that we're all going through things that make us do things that are not of our character. But if you're not going to take accountability, and I'm not looking for apology, if you're not going to take that accountability, then I need you out of my life. Until then. And it's okay to let people go, even family. It is okay to let people go. You don't need to keep people around you who are negative. You don't. But as I'm reading this, I believe you're a good person. I can feel you're a good person. You're the mediator, right? You're the peacemaker. That says a lot. And you deserve someone that's equally yoked as you. But what I'm going to tell you right now is what I would tell my kids if I had kids. Don't date until you're in your 20s, late, mid 20s, when you experience life. Work on yourself. You're 18, man. You got the whole world in front of you. Go travel. Go study abroad. Go work on what you want to work on. You have no limitations. You have no one holding you back. You don't have to think about her anymore. You are doing you.